And he,
Magnus, Magnus has blundered.
Another blunder, and this time Magnus goes in with the haymaker on Wei Yi. He's that out of control. No, I'm only kidding, of course. He's much more controlled with his emotions today. Huge blunder on the board, but this is how he reacts here. This is Norway chess, round 8. So many eyes on Carlsen's games at the moment, and this is his one against Wei Yi. Now, this is the first game they played, right? King's pawn, Magnus just going steady with the response of e5 as well. You know, no Sicilian or anything. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse develop into the game. The bishop enters the game with a whoosh. And now this one is a strange move. It's like going to the beach in shoes. Who does that? Now we see this pawn develop and suddenly the players start playing like 5-year-olds. We get h6, a3, a6. Come on, please complete the foursome here. No, then you'd be blundering your bishop. This is the back cave analysis mode. So Wei Yi spots it. What a super grandmaster. Magnus decides to correct his mouse slip from earlier. That's a joke. They're over the board. And he gives up a pawn here after takes. Knight captures, but you've got the old trickaroo. Hit the knight and threaten checkmate. So you've got to respond. Knight drops. Hang on, didn't you just blunder a piece? Well, yes, but now you can go d4 and you fork and you win it back. So the queen drops back. This is the best way to play. White's therefore got to mess up the structure. Black wins this central pawn here, and now the queen trade is offered. Usually a bit risky against the goat of the end game, but here it's okay because after takes, bishop takes, you've got the old opposite coloured bishops going on. You can even play the incredibly stinky pawn f6, and I'm not talking stinky in a good way like parmesan or blue cheese, or pick your favourite stinky cheese, maybe some lovely goat's milk cheese. No, that's just a stinky move altogether usually, but here it's fine. Dead level position, completely lost my train of thought. Let's say stinky one more time. We even see Magnus lose a pawn here. Watch that c7 one go, but it doesn't matter. It's opposite coloured bishops as mentioned. It's a dead draw. This is where the players agreed it. 31 moves. So let's jump to the real action. The Armageddon game. Magnus with black again, but this time if it's a draw, he takes that extra half point. Wei Yi has to win to get the extra half point. So he kicks off once more with the king pawn. Magnus copies here. And now he plays the Gucci Reza piano, named after the king of fashion himself. There he is, strutting his stuff. What a guy. Knight f6, d3, and Magnus plays pawn to c ships, potentially preparing to expand in the centre, but not what we see. He goes super solid and just d6 now. Pawn c3, the knight develops, this rook enters the game, and now normally everyone in his chess dog is going for a castles. If in doubt, do it. But Magnus rotates the pony. It's one of his absolute favourite things in the world. Loves his hobby horse. It's like his Nimbus 2000, but in a chess sense. Now we get queen b3, going for the skewer action, and Magnus spots it. Blocks with the knight, not the bishop. I guess then there were issues down here maybe and this sort of thing. And now d4 takes the centre. There's pressure. It's going to collapse. So Magnus develops the queen. X-ray defends. Now this knight develops. Castles is played here. And look at this. Wei Yi completely forgets which way his pieces are supposed to move. Dad's absolutely ashamed. What are you doing back here? Very strange looking move, but okay, doesn't damage the position too much. Maybe this knight's on the way. Well, yes it is, but I'm not allowed to say that really with a clear conscience. I've seen the game already. I did do some homework. a4 met with a5 of course, and now the knight hits that explosive c4 square. Not only pressure in the centre, but this possibly coming to a theatre near you soon. Now we see takes. Magnus dealing with the pressure like that, but he's now given Wei Yi the big centre. First he flicks in this intermezzo or Zwischenzug. Sometimes the top players whisper that when they play it over the board. The rook saves itself. Now the pawn takes back on d4, and this is always dangerous. I hate it when my opponent's got the centre right, especially when there's no chink in the armour, there's no advance of the pawns. Makes it so hard to manoeuvre your pieces. Magnus just makes things even worse, puts another piece on the back row. Is he really the world's GOAT or a very naughty kid? That knight's now attacked, so Wei Yi takes the bishop pair off. Now rook recaptures here, and the cool and calm bishop d2 connects the rooks. It's how they sing the best. Now we get queen b6, and this time no queen trade, sir, but queen d3. It covers the central pawn, which was under fire twice. Now it's covered by queen and knight. And don't drink from this poisoned chalice. This will be ye death. The queen is trapped, so no good going for that one. Instead, Magnus plays d5 for the high five. Kasparov rushes in, gives him one. What a guy, a great predecessor. And you could take on d5, therefore leaving the knight to hop to e5 one day, opening the tension between the rooks, which is undefended, by the way. That actually is pertinent in some tactical lines. But instead, Wei Yi goes for the advance instead. The knight centralizes. This bishop saves itself. It does a good job on those dark squares there, and you're going to see why. Because after bishop e7, rook e d1, preparing to see the d file opened, rook e d8 played. You could now advance the pawns a little bit on the king side, but Wei Yi drops back. No one likes to be in the gaze of the cannon right, and now Magnus cracks on with the job by advancing the c pawn. It's good chess. He leaves himself with the isolated pawn soon, but you can play with that, especially when you've got so many minor pieces on the board and attacking ideas. Wei Yi takes advantage of the weakness of the last move. Now we get takes. This one recaptures. Knight takes, bishop takes. The queen's about to drop, but no Botez gambit today as the bishop intercepts. Plus this one supports, of course, and after queen d3, Magnus nudges with g6. Okay, fine, maybe giving the king some luft. These ones are going to leave the board after all, otherwise it could be dangerous. Queen e3 is played, and now takes, rook takes, Wei Yi whispering, do you even rook lift, bro? Of course he knows Magnus does. He's in excellent shape. I mean, look at those guns. And now a great move by Magnus. How about this one? He leans in, digs deep, and unleashes his inner Kasparov, saying, you take my knight, no problem, I take your rookie in the centre of the board. So Wei Yi spots it, just drops back with the queen, and he's pressuring the d-pawn. It's going to drop. What should Magnus play? Well, very well done. If you saw the move, I was drawing with the arrow, because if captures here is played, this is the point. Queen takes, and you just get huge counterplay after this rook invasion. No checks for white. This pawn's going to drop, and then maybe mate to follow. Okay, not quite mate, but okay, it's horrible. You can protect however you want, doesn't matter. Then b2 falls, or knight d4 is strong, hitting 2 bits here. Black's got counterplay. This is a level position. So that was the way to go. But unbelievably, Magnus Carlsen plays an absolute shocker. Rook to c2. Wow, he's cracked this tournament, making these uncharacteristic blunders without even that little time on the clock, okay, ticking down. So un-Magnus-like. I mean, just look at some of the comments here on screen, popping off at this moment here. Not saying they're fair or not fair, whatever, right? We can all pass our own judgment. But he is definitely not having his best tournament anymore. Really struggling, you feel. Now we see takes, and this is the tactical problem. If Magnus takes the rook, you know, this was his point. Queen takes, and he was doing okay. Well, now Wei Yi just takes here. And after king g7, oh, Yi are getting destroyed. No way, you're a bishop ahead. Sorry, that was a terrible pun. Now, if we come back here, Magnus tries to randomize because he's just lost an entire knight. So he takes on f2. You could actually capture. It's not a problem. Black gets a check, but the king escapes. And at the end of the day, after you save the rook, which was attacked, you're just an entire minor piece down. It's hopeless. But instead, we get the way more swashbuckling Queen takes on d8. How about those mushrooms? Now you've got 2 rooks for the queen and a bishop, and that's why it's not really much of a contest. If it was the 2 rooks versus queen and an exposed king, well, that's very interesting, possibly even better for black. Having said that, if you can coordinate the rooks, they will beat out the queen, but here with the bishop as well, you simply have to get your king a little bit safe away from the checks. And how does black ever stop white from crashing through here? You know, queen f4, well, you crash through and you're still a rook ahead. So Magnus goes for this check, couple of spike checks, the king runs, now he tries to save his king, but anyway takes with check, king goes this way, and rook g6, you're about to get mated. There is nothing to do but stupid moves like this just to delay it. And then what's the quickest way to do this? Let's go to a mate in 3, g4, rook f7, this and this, and there we go. You shut the trap. Wow, Magnus really struggling. Hope you enjoyed this game, and have a look at the video on screen if you want to see another incredible Magnus Carlsen game. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.